I'm down in Bangor, and there's a protest on here which goes on every Friday night from between the hours of 7 and 8. And I've just come down to really get some video footage and to chat to somebody or some people. Now, again, I'm going to take you right across here just to show that it's a small gathering of people, and they've been here for 2.5 years. And the reason why that they're here is because that the hotel, which is behind me whenever I pan round here, well, it was originally filled with male migrants. And these people had a lot of concern about the people that were in the hotel. So they made representation to the authorities, they made representation to politicians. And what they wanted to find out was that did the authorities actually know who was in that hotel? I mean, were they vetted? Did they have passports? I mean, could they check their criminal records? And no information then was forthcoming. And this is the reason why this protest has went on for the length of time that it has went on. So as you know, I've given the short introduction of why I'm here, and these people here are protesting against the they don't know who's in that Marine Court hotel. They've been here for 2.5 years. And look, I've just come over to speak to some of the protesters here and, and look at some of the signs. And look, I've got a lady who is quite well, and I've just asked her nicely, would you basically have a chat with us and try to explain what it is that you're here for?
It's just becoming too much. We weren't asked about the immigration in the first place.
Yeah.
It's being forced on us. I'm worried about my kids. Don't like the fact that they feel that they can't walk up the main street. We're worried about things like Ballymena happening all over again. Yeah. It's not a safe world. It's not a safe environment, and it's just becoming too much.
Yeah.
They're sucking everything dry, and it's the government's fault. They're sucking everything dry financially from our country.
Yeah.
Between giving them everything for free.
Yeah.
Trying to get a doctor's appointment, trying to get a dentist appointment. We have to wait on all of that.
Yep.
If I walk into the doctor's, there's groups of people that have just walked in and they're getting appointments.
You said there about your children. Look, I'm just going to ask you a quick question here, but I mean, what ages are your children?
19, 17 and 11.
Right. Do they feel a sense of being under threat? I mean, why are they feeling that way?
They're very, very aware of what's going on.
Right.
My middle child would walk from tech, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Very, very aware, very checking around her all the time and what have you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not.
And do you think that they maybe pick that up, say, for example, from, say, social media or whatever, where they're seeing, or maybe even on the news when we do get told things?
From themselves.
From the
vibe that they're getting from people walking past them.
Yeah.
Getting looked at, what have you, stared at, and then stopping and turning around and keep watching. Things like that. They've noticed a lot of. They've noticed the difference down in Bangor.
Yeah.
The vibe and what have you. You know what I mean? It's everybody's getting a bit fearful.
Yeah, well, I think I know what you're talking about there, and just for the purpose of explaining to the listeners here, is that me myself walking up Stranmillis, and there was a group of people there. And and they wouldn't move off the pavement, and I'm trying to walk through them, and I nearly had to walk around them, and they were hissing and making rude noises and gestures.
As I've always said, it's not about race.
Yeah.
It's about morals, attitudes, and intentions.
Yeah.
The people that we have coming into this country now do not have the same attitudes or intentions or morals as us.
Yeah. And just on that subject, I mean, do you think that there should be like rules that if anybody wants to come to a country, I mean, should they have to, pledge allegiance to the country, pledge allegiance to the flag, adapt into and become part of, our culture, really?
I think instead of handing them an iPhone, they should hand them a list of rules and laws that we live by for a start, because they don't seem to be clear on the laws of our land.
Yeah.
That children are a no-go.
Yeah. And in your view, I mean, are they disrespecting what they should be doing in this country?
100%.
Yeah.
There seems to be no respect for the country at all, for what they're being given, for the people of the country. None of it. It's just come in, take, and do what they want.
Yeah. Just to pop an interview up this morning, something that I would have done in 2019 in Dublin. And, I was speaking to a young lady there, Sarah Louise Mulligan. She actually run for Irish presidency. And the reason why I was there in Dublin 2019, she was actually, they were running as independents. There was a group of people running as independents to try to get themselves elected. And, and that's exactly what she said. Similar views to yourself there, is that they're coming here and they're disrespecting our culture. And they're not happy that we've given them a place to live, and they're basically saying, and she used the term, up yours.
There's people coming from all different parts of the world and they're not respecting our culture.
Yeah.
In fact, they're disrespecting our culture. They're coming over here, they're creating mobs and gangs, and they're having fights outside nightclubs, and they're literally telling the Irish, in other words, up yours. We're not grateful to be living here, and we're going to cause us much trouble. We're going to rebel. And basically, it's just not working. They're not fitting into Irish society. And that's why we need more control of our borders, because if we don't have control of our borders, we no longer have a country, basically.
Is that,
It's like, that's not enough. What they're being given isn't enough. They want more, they want more, they want more.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, they are getting it above our own citizens, which is more of a, it's a kick in the teeth to the citizens as well, by our own government.
Yeah, so I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? And, I think you're speaking about maybe housing. I think you're speaking about, doctors, dentists, and all the services. Now, if, some of these left-wing nut jobs would be basically saying, the system was broken before they came. Have you anything to say about that?
It could have been a hell of a lot easier fixed before everybody else came in. If we were just dealing with our own citizens, it's easier sorted out. But the amount of people that are then getting put to the top of all these lists. Where are we supposed to go?
Yeah. So I asked that question for a reason. And, if the system's already overburdened, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to actually understand that you shouldn't be putting more and more and more people into a country. And then, they're talking about that there's no money to go around, where they were, Keir Starmer's government, where they wanted to take the, the pensioners' heating allowances and whatnot because we don't have money. And yet, how much of the spending on bringing...
That's £22 billion black hole that seems to be non-existent. The amount of millions and billions that they are putting in to funding all these illegal immigrants, that could sort the country out in 1 year. Job done. The lack of common sense.
I like to say that these streets, who do they belong to? The streets of Northern Ireland, right around this province,
They belong to us.
They belong to the people that were born and reared in this country. They don't belong to the politicians. They don't belong to the political system.
The problem is the politicians don't live here. They don't have to deal with it. It's not getting them fluxed into their area. It's not in their fancy houses. It's not in their fancy areas. And if it was, they would change their attitude. They would change their mind.
100%.
They don't know what's actually going on in reality. Even in Stormont, they don't know what's going on in reality, and they seem quite happy to lie to you about what they do know.
Do you think in any way, for what reason are the politicians doing this? I look at the Alliance Party and I look at some of the nationalist parties like Sinn Féin or the Republican Party or maybe the SDLP, the Green Party, and they're doing it for votes. Would you concur there, or is there any other reason that you can see?
I know I watched one of your wee podcasts and said some of them's getting funded as well. And they probably don't even realise. But I think it is for votes. I think it's lack of common sense and lack of really caring. To be honest with you.
Well, listen, I want to thank you, and thank you sincerely, because it's really, really good to bring to the people how that it is that people feel and what genuine concerns really, really look like. And I think that what you've done is you've literally just shown people what there's a lady there concerned for her children, concerned for the future of this country, and really concerned for, the fabric of society is what I heard from you.
Because in the future, what is it going to look like in the future? What's Bangor going to look like in the future for my kids?
Well, listen, thank you very much, and I really, really appreciate that. And look, I'll be up and down, and sure, feel free to approach me. And if you know anyone else at a later date that maybe wants to have a wee chat with us, direct them my way. Thanks very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Echoes linger, dirt till the home. Can't kill the truth with a hollow drone. Hands or eyes clenched in fists, history's patterns, they won't be missed.